Okay, what we'll cover today, of course, we'll do, okay, we have our first agenda is what is Bitcoin mining. We get to understand what is Bitcoin mining. And then we get to know who actually does the mining, who can validate the blocks and do the actual mining. And then we get to see the incentive parts, how actually those people who difficult adjustment, how is actually mining. Okay, the mining period, we all know that mining takes place in around 10 minutes, maybe for instance, in the Bitcoin blockchain. So it takes 10 minutes to validate a block and hand it to the blockchain. So that difficulty is being adjusted after every 10 minutes. You get to know how it's actually done. And then we do the mining and the security. We'll not be doing the actual mining here. It's kind of complex. Okay, you can't undo it with a machine actually for now. But at least we give a brief on the same. And then we look at the essence of mining. Why is mining important? Moving on. So what is Bitcoin mining? Okay, Bitcoin mining is simply the process of validating and adding new transactions to the blockchain. You see, when you send some cryptocurrency or maybe receive some cryptocurrency, that's a transaction that has occurred. Now, those transactions are being held together and being added to the blockchain as a block. So mining is that process of validating if this is a real transaction or maybe, yeah, that process of validating those transactions and actually making those transactions, because a transaction is a place where you're either receiving some cash or maybe sending them out. So miners validate that and they add that to a block. And then that block is being time-stamped and it has a block number and then it's being added to the blockchain. Now that's mining. So simple. So who gets the right to validate a block? Answer to that is miners. Miners, as I was saying, these are like the nodes. They participate in keeping the network secure. You can be unknown if you meet the computational power. They have some sort of standards because as the network grows, the computational power needed and the efficiency of the machine, of course, is needed on a higher one. That's why I said you cannot mine with maybe a laptop for now. But when Bitcoin was starting, maybe in 2009 or 2010, we'd have actually mined with a phone. Okay, not a phone, a machine, a laptop with some internet connection would have done the mining. It was easy because the network. So miners, in other ones, the nodes now, those people who make the network secure, compete in a lottery every 10 minutes by using the computational power to repeatedly guess different input until they find an hash. Okay, you can think you can think of this more like a puzzle. Okay, the system itself creates a puzzle, and whoever guesses the correct input gets mined that block, gets validate the block rather. So this puzzle, it's kind of adjusted. It adjusts itself to keep the complexity at an average of 10 minutes. So if you hear someone say mining takes 10 minutes to mine a block, yeah, that's now the idea where it comes in. Now, this is the puzzle thing. And the beauty of it, no one is adjusting that. The old design of blockchain, okay, of Bitcoin network kind of adjusts itself every 2 weeks. You'll see that later. And then it keeps that complexity at an average of 10 minutes. That in every 10 minutes, we have someone who have guessed the correct answer because they're guessing of a trillion options, maybe a trillion or so. So you just guess the correct inputs. That complexity will take an average of 10 minutes. So in every 10 minutes, we get to mine a new block. As I said, mining is that process of validating. So if you guess the correct input and others are agreeing with it, you happen to be the miner of the next block in the blockchain. Okay, now you might ask, how do you get rewards for that? Now, this is the rewards part. Now, the first miner to guess the right hash that puzzle more of the input needed. Out of the trillion options, broadcast the solution to the network. When you get your inputs and it works, when you broadcast it to the network and other miners will validate if it's correct. Okay? After that, you get a reward of new Bitcoins. So that's how Bitcoin actually created some new. Those are Bitcoin actually mines. So in every 10 minutes, you all participate in some sort of consensus mechanism where you guess your puzzle, you get your options based on your machine efficiency and how sophisticated it is. you guess, and if you get the input correct, you broadcast it to the network, everyone, other nodes to verify it's actually the correct answer, because once they put the input, the correct output will be there. So they approve it's the correct answer. Okay, this part you can think of like you have an input, we have the output, but we don't have the inputs. So we are finding the inputs. So if you find the inputs matches the output, then we are okay. That's the correct answer. That's how they verify other nodes. So if you get that input that correspond to the given output, then you have the correct input. So you get to mine the next block. So you take the transactions, you compile them, you stamp them, and then you add to the next blockchain. You add to the blockchain rather. And by doing that, you get some rewards of new Bitcoin, new created Bitcoin. So I think right now the reward rate, the Bitcoin reward is something at 6.25 actually. So in every 10 minutes, if you happen to mine that, you get one of the 6.25 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. There's no guarantee the next 10 minutes will be the miner, but if it will be the miner, then the next 10 minutes still you make your 6.25 Bitcoin. Now that's how mining works. And that's how new Bitcoin actually created. But don't forget, the maximum supply of Bitcoin is 21 million. So in every minute, they mine 6.325, every 10 minutes rather. And that's the maximum supply. You might ask what happens when the maximum supply is reached. Well, the maximum supply of the Bitcoin will be reached on 2140, probably not be alive. But even if it reaches, because you get the new Bitcoins and still the gas fees on the transaction, still you get them. So, but then the Bitcoin network will be very huge that the transaction fee are quite, well, got some good returns. So you can manage the mining process with the fees. The difficulty adjustment. Okay, I've said it takes an average of 10 minutes. So you might ask, how do they really keep that difficulty? So to maintain a consistent mining rate, the Bitcoin network adjusts difficulty roughly every 2 weeks. So in every 2 weeks, the network itself, I want to get something clearly. It's decentralized. There's no one in charge. So the network itself that adjusts itself in every 2 weeks to as more miners join the network, the difficulty increases and vice versa. But it adjusts itself because maybe a new miner may intend to join the network today, or maybe someone to drop, or okay, there's that inconvenience of either joining or dropping. So the network has to adjust itself to keep the complexity at an average of 20 minutes. So it adjusts itself in every 2 weeks. So whether there's an increase in miners, it becomes more difficult. If there's a decrease in miners, it becomes less difficult to just stick on the average time of 10 minutes for mining. Okay, you may have heard someone say that you cannot really hack a network, or maybe a Bitcoin network, because I'm discussing Bitcoin today. Well, it's possible, but it's kind of impossible at the same time, because to be in control of the network, to like control the decisions being made, you have to be in control of the 51% of the network. So it's more like you have the majority computing power, which is next to impossible, because there's no single state, or there's no single country that can have that kind of computing power to control 51% of Bitcoin network right now. Sometimes some years back you could have, but for now it's very huge actually. It's very okay. To tamper with that network is not easy, because you have to be in control of the 51% of the computing power. Okay, that means you be in control of the 51% of the nodes in the network. The nodes can be anywhere. It can be in Kenya, can be in Russia, can be anywhere, because it's open source and anyone can be a node anyway. So to be in control of 51% of the network, it's kind of next to impossible. That's why it's actually very costly. And the system itself is designed such that it will be more costly if you are against the network. If you support it and make it working, it's okay. It gives you rewards. Now, if you're there as the bad actor, then it's more hard for you, and it's very expensive actually to maintain that kind of bad behavior in the network. So there is something called the game theory. It's more like the Being the bad guy, it's earned for you than being the good guy. You get no rewards being the bad guy. The network is generated that way. So for some reason, it's more like a waste of your time and resources for no gain, actually, to be on the negative side. That's one of the genius, the genius act of the founder. The Satoshi Nakamoto really feels that guy really made some good job there. And then we have the essence of mining. Okay, the essence of mining is basically to keep the network secure and trustworthy. That's why people mine, because the miners are the ones that keep the network secure and trustworthy. So in the sense that I can send my transaction and actually reaches the other head. So they validate the transactions and all those processes. So the whole essence of mining is to keep it secure and trustworthy.